Hi, I'm Michael Kennedy from Capital Focused. We've decided that it'd be great to record a conversation. And the conversation's between two people, myself and John Schaab. And John's an advisor who's worked with Capital Focused for many years and decided to retire about a year or two ago and focus on bike riding and focus on just enjoying being retired. And one of the things is because John and I are talking so often about clients that I now look after his and his own money that we invest and manage currently, we thought it'd be a really good opportunity to record that fireside chat for our clients to be able to say, right, that's what two advisors sitting at home in West End, John lives in West End and I live here in West End, and just be able to give you the opportunity to listen to what we're doing and what we're discussing, and in that, to hopefully give you some confidence that we're doing the best we possibly can to make sure that the positive outcomes that are achieved from staying optimistic by staying fit, healthy and well will ultimately impact and benefit you for many years to come. Because you'll be able to see what we're looking at, what we're thinking of, and I guess what our key messages are. Really invite you to take the time, have a cup of tea and sit down and enjoy a conversation between two fellas having a chat about what's the best thing to do right now when it comes to managing your wealth. Thanks again.
Righto, hey Michael, good to see you again for one of our little chats.
We've been talking obviously a fair bit of late about what's happening in the share market.
Yeah.
And what's happening with you and the family, and I guess obviously your role with Capital Focus when you retired from active advice has changed. But I guess just for the point of explaining to our clients and our viewers that are watching this video, just sort of introduce yourself and just sort of say how you came into the world and who you are.
Well, as you know, Michael, I'm because we've been friends for a long time now. My background is nearly 20 years in the finance industry in Australia. I was in the finance industry in the UK for a while before that, but started off life after school in the fitness industry. I joined the Army and I was in the Air Force for a while as well as a physical training instructor. And it struck me, it still strikes me now that that has a real relevance in this finance world where our high-performing active managers that we talk to and employ, a lot of them are very focused on their fitness, and it's had a significant influence on my life, and it still does today. And it's interesting that these fund managers equally find it a really important thing to include in their life, as you do as well, clearly.
And I've always loved when we're meeting managers in person, which we've done over the years together so many times. One of your favourite questions is...
It is. And how do you keep yourself sharp and fit and healthy? And it's always received very, very well. And some of the responses are interesting because they've all got their own ways of staying fit, but almost universally, these high performers are really fit. They get their workout done in the morning, whether it's kite surfing sometimes, whether it's running or whether it's the gym. But universally, it's a really encouraging, for me, who's a bit of an evangelist when it comes to fitness and what effect it has on your life. It's encouraging to see these people who are, you'd imagine, sitting mostly behind their desks, looking at profit and loss statements for companies and the rest, doing nothing else but that. But they really find they know how important it is to be physically fit. So yes, that's where my background has come from. The physical fitness early in my life, and then clearly through finance in the UK and latterly here, and still a friend of the firm, and love being involved with our chats just on a regular basis to see how the markets are doing. And occasionally, or more than occasionally, with the old client that just is a bit reluctant to let go, and I'm happy with that as well.
And we've loved the involvement where you've been sort of a client advocate for some of the clients that we've been beneficial to, able to look after for you since you've
Oh
moved
yeah, the
through.
transition for a lot of my clients, they've loved it.
What are some of the concerns that you're hearing, out on the 1.5 metre distance running track that you're running along with them and talking about? Yeah. What are some of the things that you think they might be positive about at the moment?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. Just as you know, I've got a lot of my clients are my circle of friends and acquaintances and fitness buddies, and we talk regularly. There's not a lot of angst amongst my clients, or our clients generally in Capital Focused, I've found in conversations, because typically our education of our clients has been really, really good in that, Michael, you and I aren't, we're concerned about where our portfolios are in the sense, but we're not worried about what the long-term strategy is. It's stay invested, clearly, and so we know this is going to pass. Yeah. But in answer to your question, when I'm talking to clients, it's mostly about what we have done last night, what we're doing tomorrow night. It very rarely comes around to, oh, I'm a bit worried about where my money is, John, what are you doing? Because they know that we've got contact with the managers that they're involved with, that they're invested through. You in particular, who still do it on a regular basis, you must be busy all day.
Yeah, I'm probably spending every day, I ring a fund manager that our clients are using, and we'll have a quick chat, and I'll ring the manager himself. So a guy who runs $1 billion odd, because over the years, and I've been doing this now for 16 odd years, yeah. I've become quite, friendly with them and say, well, what are you doing here and there?
The good ones, I hope.
The good ones.
Yeah.
And we've sort of built a bit of a relationship where we can say, are they moving clients into cash or not? Because some of the managers have the ability to move that as they wish to.
Yeah.
What opportunities are they finding? And then it's really an environment where we get to see whether or not those managers that we hire for our clients are doing the work to make sure that they're finding the opportunities. Yeah. And those opportunities, some of them are pretty good. Like, look, some of the prices that they're able to buy in are amazing.
You were saying one of the, which manager were you speaking to that's bought some Qantas?
Yeah, Firetrail. They were buying Qantas at $2 odd the other week, and it's now $3 odd in the space of just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And they were just loading up and going, well, they're making $30 million a month from their frequent flyer program, which is going into cash. The government's bailing in bulk cash and giving them effectively free money.
Yeah.
They've got the JobKeeper thing that'll effectively pay their staff for a while.
Yes.
And who knows how Virgin will go. I think that's the important thing, is active management says, well, they're buying Qantas, not Virgin, and going, turns out you can just go buy the good bits.
And from a client's point of view, because my money's still fully invested in Capital Focused, I'm thinking to myself, that's great, I'm glad I didn't have to make that decision myself.
Yeah.
Firetrail's done it for me on my behalf, and that suits me just fine.
And I think that's where it really comes down to, these are the times where we really earn our keep.
As financial planners, hats off to you, because I've been there, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a stressful time.
And I think some of those stresses, and we need to acknowledge some of those things are causing people stress. And some people saying, should we have more cash at the moment?
Yeah.
And that's a strategy that we're saying, well, should we do it or should Magellan do it? And that's what they're able to run up and back. So they at the moment have gone to about 16% cash globally, but that allows them to buy things cheap if there's a bit of a bargain coming up.
Yeah.
And if they want to run that cash back down to zero because they think it's a good idea, that's their job.
Yeah, I was looking at Hamish's video last week, and he said that they were in, for a period of time, 18 months or something, or even 2 years, they were had about 20% cash, because they sort of felt something was going to happen. So what they're doing is employing that now, potentially on our behalf, which is what we pay them to do, of course.
Well, these days, as we're all online and doing more and more things, suddenly you go, well, I wonder whether or not Zoom's a good stock.
Oh, hello.
And suddenly there's fund managers that we're using that are buying Zoom when that was cheap. So there's a lot of opportunities if we stay positive. And I think that's really what we need to remind our clients, is that in staying invested and really understanding that there's a whole team of managers that are out there trying to find the opportunities in this.
Oh, our clients and me myself, I'm paying these managers good money, so I'm determined they should be doing the work I'm paying them to do, and you're making sure that they do, because you talk to them on the regular basis.
Yeah,
That's
saying,
right. So the people I speak to, and getting back to that question, is it's not a concern, it's not a worry that they have, that these people that I've, ex-clients and the rest who have still got money invested fully, it's just it's a conversation. Because they know when a vaccine is discovered, when it's been put into place, the world will return to whatever the new normal is. But it's going to happen. It just it's going to be when the vaccine occurs. And in the meantime, as we were talking before, the government's giving people this JobKeeper allowance, $1,500. There is going to be money in the economy keeping it going.
It's a lot of money.
And it's a lot of money.
Go back to Kevin Rudd's GFC bail-in, that was 50 billion odd.
Yes.
We're talking 200 billion. So this is a huge amount of capital.
Yeah.
And that capital is going into the hands of businesses effectively to be able to keep things going, keep Woolworths full of stock.
Keep their ex-employees getting a wage on a regular basis. Yes, it's $1,500 and that's more for some and it's less for others, but it's still $1,500 a fortnight. And that's going to be keeping the economy going to some degree. There's a real positive the way, there's lots of positives. You just have to come to me to ask, let me tell you. But by way of economically, by way of the fund managers' opportunities, by way of our lifestyle opportunities, it's not, I don't want to say it's a great time because there's so many people who have been really affected. By and large, our clients, though, your capital focused clients, haven't been significantly affected in a day-to-day way by not having enough money, because clearly you look after a lot of money and that there's, the client's money.
And I think that's what we're seeing, is that we have to be mindful of our privilege.
Yes.
And mindful of our clients' privilege that they're able to, in most cases, get through this and find the opportunities to it. But they'll have very visual impacts, perhaps their kids, or even their house cleaners, and people that they'll see have different degrees of economic impact from this. And it's our responsibility to be able to, provide, in some cases, their kids' advice at the moment. And we're finding that we're getting a bit of our clients saying, hi, look, our kids might be going through some changes with work. They've got a question about their super and similar. And would you mind if you have a quick chat with them just to make sure that they don't do anything silly with their circumstances? And we go, we'd love to.
Which is another positive for me. It's our education filtering down to those young folk who we can really make a difference to. I've sent as a non practicing financial planner anymore, I've sent a couple of emails to, admittedly, 2 nephews who have asked me the question, is this a good time to be getting into the market? And within reason, I give them some advice, and they're seeing an opportunity, even at that young age, to think, well, the market's only going to go one way over the long term, as it has done since Adam was a cowboy. It will do so again. So how come I best take advantage of the opportunity? And so that's a very small example, but you and your clients with their children, if they're calling you, that's a very positive thing.
I think that's where, in this, and we're talking about making sure we're able to impact generations, of making sure they're making the right decisions to take advantage of it. We might see some bargains happen through this time that are once in a lifetime bargains of buying some really good stocks at a discount.
That our managers are doing on our behalf.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing for us. So we're being really positive about this. And I think the challenge, though, is that some people have got some anxiety and some nervousness.
Yeah, because the valuations were this and now it's this temporarily. That's a reason to be anxious. So what we would do is, you and I aren't anxious because we're in the business. We know we've been through this. We've done it all before.
No, we're not worried.
I'm not the least bit worried. However, you've got to make sure your strategies are appropriate. Clearly, that's part of the expertise you bring to the client. You've got to make sure that the managers that we have got clients' money's invested in are doing their job, and that is what the regular conversations are about, and the monitoring of their performance. I'm happy to be retired. There's no question, but I appreciate what you guys do. Who are the active financial planners still.
And I think that's what really our role comes down to. It comes down to we're paid to be the one to be worried about the market. We're the ones paid to make sure we're understanding what to be looking at and what those opportunities are. Our clients, they're there to say, Michael, is this the right strategy for us still? give us some confidence and to go through it, and we'll go, we're still doing the right side of it. We're making sure that the managers you have are doing the right things. But then what should clients perhaps be doing to alleviate their own nervousness?
I reckon that's a good discussion point, certainly. The question is, the clients are, some have got a little bit anxious, but we've got to convince them that we're looking after their money. Capital Focus got it all under control. But then if they can move that anxiety to the side to some degree, how else can they look after themselves? Well, we want them paying fees for as long as they possibly can. So we want them to be alive as long as they possibly can, and well. So that means, don't forget the balance of your portfolio, but understand that it's being taken care of. Focus on the dinners with the family. Focus on the cooking that you might do that you wouldn't have done if you weren't in isolation. Focus on the good things that you can draw out of this, even though there's lots of terrible things happening for a lot of folk. Our clients, though, think about their sleep, think about their exercise in particular.
And I think the exercise is something we were talking about before. So going back to the old New Zealand Army Air Force days of being a PTI, is that those people who kept fit obviously live longer in times of war.
And I was having a conversation yesterday with my darling other half, and it was exactly this, where I likened the virus that we're dealing with at the moment as a war zone. And by definition, if you're going to be involved in a war zone, in the Army and the Air Force, you have to have a high level of fitness. There's no question, to be sharp, to be fit, to be able to do what you do. If you have to be an accountant or even a financial planner for that matter, your level of physical fitness doesn't have to be quite as high. Yeah? But if you consider the COVID virus a war zone, the fitter you are, the better you are prepared. And that's not a guarantee by any means, because some fit people, young folk, have died because of COVID. But if you're doing a risk analysis, the fitter you are, the better respiratory system you have, the more chance you have, as we understand it at the moment, of surviving the COVID. So yes, from a war zone, be fit by all means. Consider this a war zone, be fit. If you're an accountant or a financial planner, be fit as well, but particularly because it's going to be doing you so much, it's going to be erring on the side of caution when it comes to contact with the COVID.
And the emotional impact of being fitter is also positive, that it's often, when I've seen some clients over the years that have been nervous or worried about their money, is that often it's a point in time when they haven't been doing their walking, they haven't been doing their exercise, and they go, I'm worried about the money. I go, are you? Are you? Or is it that there's other things going on in your life that you're probably more worried about?
Yeah, well, you've just suggested, forget the anxiety to some, no, forget it, but shift the anxiety, and then you've got no excuse to go and go for your walk, do your yoga, do your stretching. So,
and while we're setting up for this video today, I noticed you're on the piano, so you're teaching yourself the piano.
Oh, hello, you should see me. Oh, when the saints go marching in. I'm good.
Yep, I've got my violin in the cupboard that I've pulled out, and I'm suddenly to go.
I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Let's get that thing polished off again, so that's interesting.
Positive. And it's easy for me to be, it is relatively easy for me to be really positive in times like this, because that's my nature generally. It doesn't discount the people who are doing it really tough, but I think the government is taking care of a lot of those people. There are still that are going to fall through the cracks, and that's always going to be the case in a society like ours. Getting back to our clients though, who generally have got money because that's why they're our clients, the impact will be a mental one to some degree, because they'll see their balances are mostly lower than they were 3 months ago. But if they can shift that and have the confidence that Capital Focus is looking after that for them, focus on the other positives in their lives.
Yeah.
There's lots to be gained out of it. I think there is, particularly when we come into a new normal when a vaccine has been discovered and it's no longer a war zone when it comes to COVID. How our business is going to be much more efficient. I mean, you'd have a better opinion on that than I.
Well, we have, thankfully, some investments in companies that are making the vaccine. So Medina and a few other companies that have currently have vaccine trials ready to go. We have money invested in those companies. So we're sort of part of the future, and we're trying to solve some of the actual problem with using capitalism to help that through as well.
Yeah. But the example of Qantas again. Qantas is going to come back, and it's going to be another thriving business that is going to pay a great dividend when a vaccine and when the new normal is in place.
Australia didn't get suddenly closer together. Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. I'm still going to fly. I'm not going to drive to Melbourne. It's still too far to go.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see how many businesses take up the new leases in the city when working from home has been so successful for them. There's no commute times, there's plenty of Zoom meetings. They may not need the 5 floors of Waterfront Place. You know, they might only need 2 or 3. And
that's such a good point. And that's some of where, when we look at our clients' investments, most of them are invested in the companies themselves, not invested in the buildings around there, because those buildings don't have as much long-term growth as what an individual business could be.
Yeah, quite agree.
And so if we're believing in the future and we're staying positive, we want to hold great businesses that can say, oh, we've saved some money this year, we've cut our rent, we've cut this side of it.
Yeah.
And our shareholders, they have benefited from that.
That's right. And our workers are more productive. They haven't got the commute. They're working from home. They're happier. They're doing more exercise. And that's what I foresee as a new norm. And I'm not sure. It might be 18 months. It might be 2 years. It might even be 3 years from now. But the fact that these companies will be bigger and stronger and better, just like the GFC. After the GFC, gradually the companies had rid themselves of a lot more debt. They were a lot more efficient, you know.
So 2/3 of all the biggest businesses on the US share market today were born during a recession or some sort of economic downturn.
Is that right?
So you go through GE, you go through all these huge businesses. And a lot of the time it's because as those companies let their best employees go, and they said, off you go and do some work, and here's a redundancy check, and here's some more money. Those employees had these ideas, and those ideas, they suddenly went, I could go make one of these. I've got this idea. There's a whole bunch of people around. There's employees. And one of the issues previously was that it was very hard to hire new staff. Suddenly, for businesses that are growing, they suddenly have this huge pot of new, cheaper staff.
Okay.
So there is positives even through periods of adversity, that as active investors who believe in the future, and we have to be there, then let's win it.
Yeah. So when clients ring you up and say, should I be going to cash, Michael? I mean, not like I said before, not a lot of my clients or our clients do that because they have a real good understanding, but some still put that question to you. Do you just transfer it to the managers you speak to, or do you have got an opinion yourself, obviously? But
so our answer is that we need enough cash to pay pensions for the year.
That makes sense.
So we need to make sure that if the volatility occurs, and that's it's
happened.
That's always happened actually. 100 odd years, it's still always happened.
Yep.
Is that we need to make sure we're drawing those pensions out of cash if we can. So tick, as long as we can cross that button off.
Okay.
From there, because the cash rates are so low, literally 0%. And I go, is there any investment in the world that could do better than 0? And I go, there probably is. So our job is to go, can you find me something that makes more than 0? Yeah. Because after everything else goes through, there's still something that's going to be better than 0%. And that's where our job is to say, we'll find those opportunities.
And those opportunities are a company that's share price has gone from here to here temporarily, but the dividend, like Woolworths for instance, Coles, are still being paid. And that's a lot more than 0%. I mean, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's right. What else were we talking about? Oh, yeah, I like the 3 things that we would like our clients to be left with. And you said them very well.
So 3 things.
3 things. 3 things.
3 things. First is stay invested.
Stay invested, that makes sense.
The second one is that we need to stay positive, as humans to each other.
That we're doing the worrying for them.
And that because we're doing the job.
Yep.
That's our job. So stay positive because you've got an advisor who's doing the job to make sure that you'll be okay.
Yep.
And the third one, stay healthy and fit, and use this time to invest back into yourself on a personal discovery point of view, and make sure that you look after your family.
turn this opportunity into a real positive. I like that. Stay invested. We're working for you, don't worry, and focus on yourself and your fitness and the rest. That's, yeah. I think I'm going to leave with that, actually. That's a great idea.
It's a pleasure. And I think that's what we want to say is to our clients who've supported us through the last few years, we're happy to support you in this particular point, and more than happy if you've got that phone call, if you do want to reach out and go, look, I love the video, but I still want to have a chat.
Oh, help yourself.
Then ring us up, we're here.
And a friend of the firm.
Yep. Ring John. Hi, John. I saw you on video now. You work here as well. Like, what do you do? And can I ask you on the side of it if they want some fitness tips?
Oh, there, I'm your man. That's exactly right. One other point I was going to mention, and I keep in contact with a lot of the staff, but not all of the staff. What are the other? What's Tom doing? What's Chris doing? Steph and the rest. India. What are they all? How are they filling their day? And let me say, apart from our Zoom yoga session this morning, which was fantastic to connect with everybody on the Zoom. That's a winner. 9 o'clock till 10 o'clock. What's Tom doing? What's Chris doing?
Yeah, so Tom, Chris, and I have been using Zoom. We've been talking regularly about what investment opportunities we're seeing. We're sharing this knowledge back and forth about what we're seeing.
Yep.
We're making sure we keep each other well and fit, and we're keeping each other accountable
Motivated.
to that. And you mentioned the Zoom yoga side of it. So twice a week we've hired a yoga instructor, and we all connect up and we downward dog together and make sure that we're staying flexible and fit.
Great.
It's probably a great learning opportunity at the moment for a lot of the staff to be able to see some of the things you really only get an opportunity a few times in your career to be able to see what's occurring in the side of it and what you can really do in those opportunities.
Yeah, from a client's point of view, they're just ringing the same Capital Focus number, and they're talking to India or Steph or Patrick or whoever. So has it changed at all for the client, do you think?
No, in fact, it's for clients, they send us an email, we reply to them, they call the same office line, and it rings all of our desks simultaneously in all of our houses.
Ah, right. Okay.
So it's an amazing piece of technology that you can go, oh, our desk rings. Suddenly in West End and in Manly West and in Braceville, you've suddenly got everyone's desks ringing.
Okay.
And whoever picks it up wins the call. So it's still business as usual.
As for the clients, that's got to be good for clients to hear that.
The new normal.
The new normal. Yeah, good point. All right, so you're off surfing.
Always got to stay surfing. Just got to wait for this Palaszczuk to unlock the border between Gold Coast and Brisbane, and suddenly that'll be the next plan for the COVID-19 shutdown is learn to surf, and but obviously from there it's just a matter of, we've got obviously with the 6 kids, there's 5 of them that are homeschooling at the moment. So looking through all the teachers, and thank you to the teachers and the medical professionals, because they've certainly got their work cut out for them as well. So John, let's wrap it up and sort of let everyone get back to their yoga and their music
and my lunch
and your lunch. From a summary from what we've discussed today, obviously we've discussed that there's companies that are still making money.
Very much so.
Woolies, Coles, there's big businesses that are still doing really well.
Pharmaceutical companies, yep, absolutely.
That our clients mostly are fine. There's no genuine impact to our clients on their own wealth levels. They have roughly the same amount of money they had about a year ago. That's pretty impressive.
That is pretty impressive.
And we're pretty happy to be the proud sponsors of how that's worked through great investment managers. We're staying active both in the way that we're speaking with fund managers to make sure they're doing their job. And the investment strategies that we've designed for clients are standing the test of time at this particular point. And then lastly, that we're staying optimistic, personally fit and healthy, and that we're here for our clients as they need us. And we'll be back again in a couple of weeks. We'll do another one of these videos to make sure our clients get to hear from us, and we'll have another chat.
And those 3 things that really struck me: stay invested. We're doing the worrying for you. Focus on yourself and your health, and pay us fees for as long as you're alive, and hope it's a long, long time.
I love it. Thanks so much, John. It's been great to see you again.
Good seeing you. Righto. See you out on the running track.
Indeed.
See you later.